Hello, I am Michael Philpott, and I'm the Research Director for OMDIA's Consumer Services Division. In my presentation today, I will explore the pillars of an inclusive world and how COVID-19 has caused an acceleration towards digitization that has significant consequences for legislation within these core pillars. For those that are unfamiliar with the OMDIA brand, OMDIA is a global research leader in TMT, created after the merger of Informa Tech's research division, which included brands Ovum, IHS Markit, Heavy Reading, and Practica. 2020 saw a massive acceleration in business digitization, driven largely by one thing, COVID-19. As we will see in this presentation, the COVID-19 pandemic has fundamentally altered how we live, work, and become educated. And the impact of the pandemic will stretch far beyond the initial health crisis, with industry trends and people's behavior changing in the far longer term, if not for forever. To manage such a dramatic change, we must turn to technology. And it's a cruel fact that those countries that have already more technologically advanced will naturally be better prepared to successfully navigate this storm, driving further social inequalities on a global scale. Nowhere is this so clear as it is in education, as of course the children of today are the workforce of tomorrow. COVID-19 has led to school closures on a global scale in favour of distance online learning. However, only around 20% of Latin American students have what is needed for it to be classed as an adequate environment for study: a good, reliable broadband connection, a computer, and a room to themselves. Distance learning has shown that issues of social equality are, however, front and centre in such models. The availability of broadband for the necessary performance for online instruction varies widely among households, mainly by socio-economic status. The devices needed to receive instruction, such as computers or mobile phones, are either not available to all students or their working quality differs significantly. Other students may have to depend on Wi-Fi hotspots at locations far away from their homes and in environments less conducive for learning, whilst many other areas having to rely on non-interactive methods such as broadcast TV and radio. Another step change has been the rapid increase in people working from home. Working from home, either on a part-time or full-time basis, seems idyllic to many of us, enabling a better work-life balance and a greater choice around where we live and work. However, again, such choices are not equal to everyone and are a particular challenge for women or single parents whom domestic chores and childcare often fall to. A study by UN Women suggests the COVID-19 pandemic could wipe out 25 years of increasing gender equality. Not all trends around COVID-19 are, of course, 100% negative. In most cases, there's an upside as well as a down. For example, before the pandemic, you would probably worry a client might feel slighted if you opted to meet them virtually rather than in person. I, for one, as I'm sure many of you, have spent many hours on planes, airports, and business hotels when it could be easily argued there was really no need to travel. Due to the crisis, however, video conferencing has become the norm. And although I know we're all looking forward to human contact again once this is all over, the calculus of when to go or when to Zoom will be very different, saving time, money, and of course, reducing the impact on the environment. With an increase in people working, being educated, and finding their entertainment at home, the impact on broadband networks has never been more significant. Based on network statistics from a range of countries we have seen, a 100% increase in online activity, with a noticeable shift in the standard busy hour from the evening to more in the day, a 60% step change in people working from home, and a significant increase in online entertainment, especially around cloud gaming and online video. High-speed broadband, therefore, has never been so important. Interestingly, by association, neither is the house. Before COVID-19, location to the office was one of the most critical aspects when choosing a house for many people. But without an anchor to an office you have to visit every day, Living in an expensive and small place becomes less appealing, and a bigger house in a smaller community with less traffic is the new trend. This has serious implications, however, on both rural communities that have suddenly seen a surge in demand for property as well as local infrastructure, and city centres that are becoming like modern ghost towns. However, if managed carefully, this also means a potential future reduction in the trend towards greater urbanisation with better economic prospects for more rural communities. One downside of this increase in us spending more time online at home is that it has focused hackers' attention on the home like never before, leading to instances of cybercrime jumping by as much as 300%. This is magnified by the connected home becoming an increasingly complicated place, well out of reach of most consumers' technical comfort zone. Whereas before we might have been trying to restrict a child's time on the internet, we are now actively encouraging it, because after all, it's the only way they can access education, meet their friends, and find entertainment. And yet the number of risks we are exposing them to seems to grow all the time. If we multiply the number and type of risks by the number of ways children can now access these applications, then the connected home becomes a confusing and difficult environment for any modern parent to manage. This cybersecurity risk has also spread into the enterprise space. As the chart shows, cybersecurity is the #1 budget item for enterprises, meaning that their own networks are now very secure. The only issue is, as discussed in the previous slide, for many companies, their workforce is now not operating from behind these secure walls, but from their own homes, which tend to be far less secure. This has focused cyber attacks on home workers, and enterprises are now having to get significantly more involved in consumer security in order to protect their own assets. The world has been moving towards an AI cloud-based one for some years, but COVID-19 has certainly meant an acceleration towards everything being smart, cloud, and remote. There is a push from industry as well as the general public for greater automation and less reliance on manual intervention. This increases efficiency as well as lowering costs. And of course, in a pandemic means less social interaction with strangers. Greater cloud connectivity also simplifies supply chains, enabling new business models and lower costs for consumers. Finally, AI enables greater levels of security and safety, making for a healthier, cleaner, and safer environment. However, this digitization leads to a very contentious area of the growing dominance and power of the global tech giants, specifically Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple. All have benefited massively during the COVID crisis. In September, Amazon's market capitalization reached its highest ever level at $1.2 trillion. And in August, Apple became the first US public company in history to achieve a market cap of $2 trillion. There's now a growing pressure to regulate these huge internet platforms, with taxation being the main concern until now, according to OMDIA's digital economy tracker. But privacy, competition, and antitrust are also top of the agenda. On July the 30th, the bosses of the GAFA faced a 5-hour grilling by members of the US Congress, some of whom believe that the dominance is stifling competition, innovation, and even hindering the post-COVID-19 recovery. In Europe, the European Union has just released new rules for digital platforms with the Digital Act platform package, which prohibits any unfair conditions that may be imposed by online platforms. Social media has become one of the main channels for news and information, and COVID-19 has only served to magnify this, with 70% of us increasing our attention on news and information since the crisis began, largely turning to social media to meet that demand. We are now in an era of polarization, and where the bedrock institutions that support and stabilize democracy, a free press, unfettered voting rights, and faith in the electoral process are under assault as authoritarian tendencies come to the fore. Unregulated social media and app algorithms are at the heart of driving both misinformation and disinformation, and is becoming a major concern around the world. On a more positive note, female leaders in, for example, Denmark, Finland, Germany, Iceland, New Zealand and Norway are cited as supporting evidence that women are managing the crisis better than their male counterparts. Evidence on a broader scale has shown that an organised and international gender lens leads to more effective local, national and global responses and management on infectious disease outbreaks. Women's leadership and contributions have been critical to curbing infection rates and enabling resilience and recovery. Such characteristics are also vital in conflict settings to reduce inequalities, which require special attention through hands-on exemplary leadership. This shows that diverse, inclusive leadership should now be seen as essential to global response to COVID-19. So to summarize, the impact of COVID-19 has been significant and has caused a sharp increase in the acceleration towards digitization that has implications far beyond health. We will see significant changes to how we work, where we choose to live, how our children are educated and the quality of their education, and how we access entertainment and get access to the basic social needs such as healthcare. We will also see a world that is in danger of becoming more polarized, with lower levels of privacy and even customer choice. To combat such trends, we need to create policies focusing on connectivity, education, and inclusion, underpinned, of course, by policies around health, as this all started from, and fundamentally still is, a health crisis. In the interest of time, we will focus the rest of this presentation on the connectivity pillar. Investing in new technology and creating policies that enable that investment in a socially responsible way is essential if we are to counter the long-term impact of COVID-19 and build from it a better, more sustainable world. Technologies such as massive Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, cloud and big data, extended reality, natural language processing, and advanced cybersecurity are all technology trends that can be employed to bring new economic growth and social improvement. However, the underlying technology that sits below all this is next generation fiber and mobile access networks that can deliver the bandwidth, the speed, the reliability, and the quality required to make such technologies possible. To complete my part of the session, I wanted to just quickly highlight two examples of technology underpinned by quality communications networks that can start to help to tackle wider socioeconomic issues that we have discussed in this presentation. The first one is the use of IoT and data analytics to work towards zero food waste. According to the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, more than 30% of the world's food is lost or wasted every year, with half of this waste occurring before the food even gets to the consumer. Using technology to reduce this waste by better crop management and asset tracking could put a significant dent in food discarded. And this can be done throughout the entire supply chain, from food processing, packaging, at the warehouse, and in the retail space. In each of these areas, there are instances of food spoilage that was never thought to be solvable, but IoT and data analytics provides the solution. The second example is around using AI in the workplace. AI is often thought of as a technology that risks jobs through greater use of computers and robotics. However, AI can also be used in the workplace to break down barriers to equality by, for example, identifying specific workers and providing them with the instructions that they can easily understand based on their level of education and language. In this way, the ability to read and write or speak a certain language will not be the barrier to personal development than it once was. Thank you for your time. That concludes my section of the presentation, and I will now hand over to my colleague, Sonia Agnes, who will cover the impacts for Latin America specifically and conclude the presentation. Thank you.